The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions of WBGR Network. Any questions or concerns about what is said should be directed to the show host, whose information will be provided upon request.
Are you ready for AWIC TV Experience It with Anointed Women in Christ? Join us this Sunday with a friend of AWIC, LaKesha L. Williams, of Vision to Fruition Group, who will join us to talk about Write the Book Already and Casting Vision, with your host, LaKesha C. Bailey, and her co-host, Minister Chris Allen, Tammy A. Phillips, Lynette McCullum, and Harriet V. Bennett. Experience it, AWIC TV, with real women, discussing real issues and giving real answers. We are AWIC. Join in the conversation.
Alrighty.
Hi everyone, welcome to AWIC TV Experience It. I'm your host, LaKesha C. Bailey, and we have a special guest here today, LaKesha L. Williams from the Vision to Fruition Group. Yay! Hey! Hey! We're gonna just a little laid back, relax today. As you can see, it's just Lynette and I from AWIC. Say hi to Harriet and Chris and Tammy. They're not here today, but they'll be back with us next time. So we're gonna get started, but before we do, let's open up in a word of prayer like we normally do. Ladies, ready? Father God, we do bless you. We thank you for allowing us to see another day, and we thank you for this opportunity to spread your word, Lord. We thank you that you've given us purpose and you've given us a vision. So we ask that you show us how to fulfill it the way you desire us to. We pray for the listening and viewing audience. We pray for the WBGR network, and we pray for our friends and family and loved ones. Have your way today and let us have an awesome, awesome occasion. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. We're about to get started.
Welcome, girl.
So, yeah.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We're doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Good to have you in the house.
Yes, good to be in the house.
Friend of AWIC.
Yes.
So the topic is write the book already. Right?
Yes.
I'm sure you've heard many people talking about, I got a book to write, I got something I want to write, or I'm thinking about writing a book. Now, how do I go about doing it? So we're going to talk about that today, and it's also in line with keeping your purpose, fulfilling your purpose, and writing the vision and making it plain. And we're also piggybacking off last Sunday when we talked about, Lynette did Reaching Beyond Sunday, and we talked about procrastination. Also, all you procrastinators out there, get ready, because you need to write the book already.
That's
okay?
right.
All right. So tell us, LaKesha L. Williams, instead of just saying, how do we go about writing that book, let's talk about a little bit, maybe, why do some people feel like they can't write a book? What's that about? Like, I have a thought, I have something to share, but I can't write a book.
Well, I think people are afraid. Like, they're afraid they don't know where to start. They're afraid they don't know what to do. And then the thing that I hear the most is that they're afraid that nobody's going to be interested in what they have to say.
Right.
So fear, I would say, overall is like the number one reason why people don't write the book already. Because they're just afraid. But there's companies like us that help you kind of get past that fear and educate you on the process and what you should do, and that kind of begins to calm a little bit of the fear, because that's the biggest thing that I hear is I'm afraid. And okay, so what are you afraid of?
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared. No. But they're afraid that nobody will read it. Like what they have to say isn't going to be impactful. It's not going to be inspirational. So once I get them to talking, and I'm just like, you just inspired me, you just impacted me while we were talking, and then they're like, oh, okay, so it just begins to get them to come out of the shell a little bit. So that's the number one reason why is fear.
Yeah.
I think I've heard situations too where people may not know themselves that there is a book in them, but someone else maybe just having a conversation, oh, that's a book. Somebody else needs to hear that story. So I think that should be or could be a form of motivation for some just to get started.
Take that first step.
Yeah, I say that to people a lot as I listen to their stories and as they kind of talk and share, and I'm like, that would make a pretty good book.
Yeah, it intrigues me.
Right. And I'm like, I would read, I would read that. So I think that's the other thing. That's a good point that you brought up, is that people just don't know that they have a book in them and that they can impact people with their stories. So it's I don't want to say lack of knowledge. That's what I'll say. They just don't know, or they just don't realize that I like to think of it like we're a part of this big grand picture that God paints, but we're just like one little Polaroid. So we often just focus on our one little Polaroid instead of like looking at the whole big picture. And so how our story can impact and affect that whole big picture that God paints. Right. Instead, we're just focused on our little 5x7 picture of what's going on in our world, and we don't realize that there are people out there who need to hear our story. So that's why we often don't realize that we do have a story in us, or we do have a book in us.
Right. And I was going to say, for me, when I wrote my first story for Hope for the Overcomer Soul, for those of you who don't know, LaKesha L was the publisher for it, and also encouraged me in writing it, because there wasn't a fear of people don't want to hear what I have to say. Mine was more of a fear of, oh boy, I'm telling all my business about my family, and how are people going to react to that and respond to that. So that was a different kind of fear. I mean, it wasn't, I didn't mind the impacting other people, but I thought, oh Lord,
people like to hear the tea.
I know they do. Of course, that's why we had the show. We talk about real issues. I guess I always look at how families impacted. That's the other thing, because you want to protect those that you love.
But then that's your immediate family and friends. Prayerfully, your book will go, especially going through Vision to Fruition. Your book is going to be more widely published, so everybody doesn't know you in your corner of the world. You know what I mean? So so it won't necessarily impact them. But I was thinking, I've had people to say that it's, well, I only have a 12th grade education, and I don't know. I see all these colorful phrases and all these big words or whatever used in books. Is that necessary? I mean, do you have to have anything beyond a 12th grade education?
Well, actually, most books, newspapers, most of the major mainstream things are written on an 8th grade level.
That's right.
That's the basic level that most books and things are written on. But then that's also the beauty of having a publisher, because we'll look at it and we'll say, okay, you need to change this or rearrange this or rewrite this, depending on what package you get. That's where we help you to kind of craft it out. So you don't have to be a scholar. You don't have to write a dissertation on your first book, but that's where the editors come in, and they'll look at it and they'll say, okay, well, let's rework this or tweak this. So there are people there to help you along the way. So you don't have to have a 12th grade education. You don't have to have a master's degree, because we work with people who didn't have those things, but they still wrote wonderful, powerful books through us.
And when I was working in the federal government, one of the things that we were told to do is to write everything on an 8th grade level. They said we need the public to be able to read this document, this policy, this regulation, or whatever, and be able to understand it. So if government documents are written on the 8th grade level, you can write a book.
That's right.
Even if you're on a 7th grade level.
Right. Whatever level you're on. Whatever level you're
absolutely.
on. Most definitely.
And in talking about the fear, do you think that, because I was going to mention that, and it's not just adults who are writing, children are writing.
Oh yeah, children, teens, but I find a boldness in the children and in the teens more so than the adults. So it's kind of funny. It's the reverse. You would think that in the adults it would be like, okay, let's do it, but it's in the teens that I find that they're like, I got this, let's do it, so yes, they're all for it. Yes,
that's because they don't mind sharing anything.
Right.
A lot of them don't. expressive generation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we're actually going to take a quick break, and we're going to go to a commercial, and we're going to come back, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the Vision to Fruition Group and exactly who you are. Okay? So stay tuned. We're going to come back after this break. We have our special guest, friend of AWIC, LaKesha L. Williams of the Vision to Fruition Group. So stay with us, and we'll be right back after this. Oh gosh, for those of you tuning in, we are AWIC TV, and we're here with our special guest, friend of AWIC, LaKesha L. Williams from the Vision to Fruition Group. It's a tongue twister. So, excuse me. Before we went to the break, we were talking about reasons why people don't write the book already. That's our topic of the day, write the book already. And we're really talking about writing the book and fulfilling the purpose and the vision that God's given you. And I wanted to talk, before we get a little further, tell us about what the Vision to Fruition Group is all about.
Well,
and how you got started.
It's a really funny story how we got started. Actually, February 10th. I remember dates really well. Dates and times and where I was, especially if there's an emotion connected to it.
Right.
So it was February 10th a year ago. I was sitting in Panera, and I was meeting with a young lady, and she was really asking me about how to get started in her business and how to get started in her ministry. And that's when it kind of dawned on me, like, people need help, like, crafting their vision and birthing their vision and kind of developing their vision. So I finished my meeting with her, and I drove home. I probably broke the speed limit a little bit because I was so excited. And
you either broke it or you didn't.
Just a little bit. You know, those signs are just suggestions, right? So I drove home and got downloaded what Vision to Fruition initially was Ministry Motivators. So it was a company called Ministry Motivators, and it was our mission to kind of motivate people to birth their vision or whatever it is that God wanted them to do. So a couple months later, as I started thinking about it, and kind of, I'm just like praying, like, God, I don't want to be boxed into ministries.
Right.
And I want to be able to reach everybody. Mm-hmm. So that's when Vision to Fruition was birthed, and it was like, people loved it. Like, ooh, Vision to Fruition, what is that? Can you bring my vision to fruition? You know, so that's when I really started crafting out what it really was. So we do vision coaching, mm-hmm. which is where we sit down and we really craft out what it is that you want to do. Mm-hmm. So I ask one simple question to everybody that I sit down with. I say, what is your vision? And I just let them talk, and I listen. And so after they're done talking, I'm like, okay, so you want to do this, this, and this. And they're like, yes! That's it, yes! So oftentimes after the coaching sessions, they're like, I know exactly what I need to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, bless the Lord. You know, so coaching is one thing that we do. And of course, publishing is something that we do and have been growing tremendously as of late, which is a true blessing. And there's some other pieces to the Vision to Fruition Group that are growing and developing, and that you guys will learn about soon. But right now, the coaching and the publishing are two major things that we do with the Vision to Fruition Group. The Vision to Fruition Group. Yes.
Good.
When you say that you're coaching, is that just with the book writing, or are there other components to the
that's general
coaching?
So anybody who wants to start a business, who wants to write a book, who just really needs to kind of massage out and kind of craft and birth what it is they want to do, because really what the vision coaching is helping you to kind of craft out what your purpose is, identify what your passion is, and then identify kind of how you can make a profit from that. Because when purpose and passion come together, it should produce a profit.
All right.
So
wait, say that again. Say that again.
P's, don't get tongue-tied.
Don't get tongue-tied, right. The 3 P's are purpose, passion, and profit. When purpose and passion come together, it should produce a profit.
Right.
So that's what we help people do.
So if you're not making money off of your purpose, there's a problem, right?
Yes, you need to contact the Vision to Fruition Group.
Right. And how do they do that?
www.vision-fruition.com.
And we'll put it on our website as well. It's probably actually already there. I think
Yeah.
from before.
Yes.
We've had you. You've been here before, and we're talking about purpose. Did you have some questions about purpose? We were going to segue into purpose.
Not right off the bat.
What do you think that people struggle with? I mean, we talked about fear, but why do you think people struggle with fulfilling a purpose? Like, what is the purpose that everybody has? Why do people struggle with fulfilling a purpose? Is it they just don't know what their purpose is?
I do think that that's the starting point. They just don't know what their purpose is, and the only way for us to truly discover what our purpose is by seeking God about it. Because about 5 years ago, I didn't really know what my purpose was, and I was feeling really unfulfilled. I was working in IT, and I was making a lot of money in the federal government, but I still was just kind of like, I thought I was at the height of where you could be in life, and then I just was like,
this can't be all there is.
There's gotta be more to this.
Right.
Gotta be more.
And so I really began seeking God, and I still remember June 4th. It was about 1:30. I went to the library and I got one of those quiet rooms, where you can just sit. Our study room is probably called. And I said, okay, God, there's something that you want me to do. And I know that all the things that I've experienced in life were not just so I can sit behind a computer screen and make a lot of money. Although that was a nice, cushy job, but I really didn't feel like I was reaching and impacting people, and I felt like that was what I was designed to do. So I sat there and I said, I'm not leaving this library until you tell me what my purpose is. And so that's when he revealed to me that my purpose was to impact and inspire people through my story. So that's what I started doing. And then as I started doing that, other things started to come out. And that's how the business was birthed. Through me starting the ministry, the business was birthed. And so you really have to seek God about what your purpose is and what his purpose for your life is. I'll rephrase that. Not what your purpose is or what you think your purpose is, but what his purpose is for your life. And how you can use that to not only advance his kingdom, but to also sustain yourself as well. So, and he'll do that if you seek him about what your purpose is. So I know that probably was a vague answer for some, but just seeking God is the first step in trying to figure out what his purpose is for your life.
And as you've probably heard us say on this show numerous times, it's about seeking God first. Second step is listening to him.
Right.
So you can seek, but in my opinion, the whole time that you're seeking, you're active. You're saying something. You're asking questions. You're trying to come up with stuff on your own. You're getting visions are popping in your head. But it's also about just quiet, like you did, sitting and being quiet and hearing from him as well. The other thing, you mentioned a very key word. To me, it also has something to do with your passion. To me, your purpose and your passion are going to be in sync. God is not going to give you anything, to do unless you're really passionate about it, unless it touches something in you, something that inspires, so that you are inspired or triggered from the inside, not something from the outside having to come in and
Right. I was just going to say, I heard Stephen Furtick said, your life will follow the direction of your conversation. And so when we're talking about our purpose, and I think about the scripture, of course, we always talk about write the vision and make it plain and all, but it's in addition to writing the vision, you've got to speak the things that you want over your life.
That's
so
right.
what is it that you're passionate about these things, you want to fulfill a purpose, so you need to start speaking about those things on a regular basis. And because I find that a lot of people, they'll say that they want to do something, but then they talk negatively against that one thing, and it never happens. And so that goes against fulfilling the purpose that you have in your life. When you're talking about writing the book, because we're talking about writing the book already. What's the first starting point? Like somebody, they know that they have they know that they would like to write a book. We already talked about fear being a blockage. So what's the first step that somebody should take when they want to write?
Just write.
Other than contact the Vision to Fruition Group.
Right.
Or in addition to.
Just write. Just write. You can't write a book if you don't have a book. If you don't have a manuscript. So just write. That's all. Get everything out. Put everything down on paper. I'm sorry. Type everything.
Yes, type.
And type everything into whatever word processor you use, and get it out. So then you have something to work with. So then when we sit down, you have something to kind of show or say, well, here's what I have. So that's the very first step. A lot of people say, I want to write a book. And I'll say, well, where are you in the process? Do you have notes that you need to compile? Napkins, Post-its, because we write stuff all over the place. Right. Several 100,000 journals that you have different stuff in. So that's the first step, really. Just write. Just get it out. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't worry about spelling or sentence structure. Just get your thoughts out, so then you can go back and look at it and start trying to formulate it, and then we could take a look at it and help you out as well. So that's the very first step, is to get it out.
Right. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
In your professional opinion, now I have sat down with people again, and the conversation talks about the fact that they feel like I have a book, I feel like I want to put it in, this story out there, I feel that it can help others, and but I don't know how to start, I'm not a good writer, I'm not a whatever, And one of the things that I have said to them, and you let me know if I'm wrong, if I'm heading in the wrong direction, I'll change my coaching method, but I told them, I said, well, talk in your phone. Just start talking. Even if it means sitting the phone up in a chair across from you and pretending you're telling your story to somebody else. One young lady said the time that I have that is where I'm really quiet and by myself is in my car. I have a long commute. I said, turn on your phone in the car. Don't listen to the news or to whatever Tom Joyner radio. I don't even know if they're still on, but the radio shows. I said, talk.
Just
talk to that passenger that's sitting next to you and tell your story. And so is that a good start?
Oh yeah. Talking to your phone, take a voice memos, keep a pad next to your bed, keep a pad in the bathroom, wherever you are, wherever you seem to have your quiet moments, then that's the best place because God can download it anytime. Or he can trigger a memory and he'll say, oh, I need that, or always be equipped to. So that's perfect advice. That's perfect advice. So I always recommend to keep something handy, whether it's a pad and pen or a quick shortcut to your notepad in your phone or your voice memo. Definitely, that's great.
Be ready.
Yes, always be ready.
Okay. And does the downloading have to take place in order? I mean, can you tell chapter 4 and then go back to do chapter 1? I mean, I don't know that they're necessarily chapters in your head, but they don't. Your notes and things don't have to be chronological.
No, because when you begin to compile them, then you'll start figuring out the order and like, okay, this should go here, this should go here. So at least then you have a manuscript to present to us.
So don't worry about formatting.
Right. We'll look at everything and we'll go over everything. We'll let you know what changes you need to make, what changes we'll make, and so on and so forth. Right.
Okay. So you mentioned that there's a process, and so we talked about getting all our notes together. Write it. Just start first, just write.
Just write.
Write, speak into your phone, get that out there. Just get it out of your head, get it out of your heart.
Yeah.
Just pour it out. What next?
Well, after that, like I said, we'll look over it and we'll start to organize things, for lack of better words. We'll keep you informed every step of the way, but as we're organizing things, there's things that you have to do, like start creating a buzz with your social media and different things like that while we're editing and rearranging, and the production piece of it is often where people are kind of waiting, and they don't really know, what they should be doing with some publishers. But with us, we give you kind of a step-by-step guide on what you should be doing, who you should be reaching out to, who you should be dropping a bug in their ear, like, hey, I have a book coming out soon. Got a book, want to hear about it? Got a minute? So we give you a step-by-step guide on what you should be doing while you're waiting. But while you're waiting, we're in the background organizing everything, getting your book cover together, getting the interior layout of the book. So what you see when you open the book on the inside, how it looks on the inside, that's the interior layout. We're putting that together, and a lot of those things are small moving parts that take time. So that's what we're doing. That's the next step in the process as you're going through it. And then finally, after all of those background things happen, we're able to present you with something, and you can say, ooh, I like that. I love it. Ooh, so
that's the required reaction.
Yes,
right.
Yes, that's the reaction. That's the reaction we normally get. Yes. yes. So there's a lot of moving parts to the process. Yeah. A lot of I know that there's a lot of moving parts, but they're necessary parts, necessary steps that you should take to make sure that you produce a quality book, and something that you feel proud of, and something that you feel worthy to share with the world. Right. Yeah.
And for some people, it's not even so much a story. There are people that have poems, there's or songs or things that you want to compile and you just want to put them together. So that's another piece. Some things, it's not always a story or it's not always a testimony. There are other things that are key when it comes to writing and that we'll help you with. And so I think that's great.
Yes.
Okay, well, we're going to take another break and we'll come back and we're going to talk a little bit more about the process and about purpose. We're going to go to a commercial break and we'll be right back with our special guest, friend of AWIC, LaKesha L. Williams from the Vision to Fruition Publishing House.
Hi, my name is Ernest Clover, and I'm Executive Director here at the DC Dream Center. I wanted to take you up and see our Dream Deck or Prayer Perch. So one of the unique things that the Dream Center has is rooftop access. And the reason we wanted to have this is so that when people would come here, they would have an ability to look over their community, and we would have an opportunity to speak over them and say, this is what the Lord has done in your sight and in your hearing. So we have some great views of the community, and again, it helps people dream. Or again, if you are part of someone who's a part of our persuasion where we're followers of Christ, this is a prayer perch. So you can come here and look over your community and pray. One of the beautiful things that we have is a great landscape and overview of the city. And one of the things that a lot of people think about when they think about opportunity is that opportunity isn't where I am. I need to go find opportunity somewhere. And that's where the Dream Center disbands that misgiven notion. We get to tell everyone that's here in the community that opportunity starts here and now. That you are right here in the perfect place where the Lord wants you to be, because you're here right now in our nation's capital where there's opportunity everywhere. And it starts right here first in the DC Dream Center.
Welcome back. Again, we're here on AWIC TV with our special guest, LaKesha L. Williams from the Vision to Fruition Group. And we're talking about writing the book already. And so we talked a little bit about why people don't, why they delay. We talked a little bit about some of the process and what you need to do. Just write, or speak into your electronic device. Just talk about it. Get it out of your head. And then we talked about that you don't have to necessarily write a story or testimony. So let's talk a little bit more about that, about what types of books the Vision to Fruition group does.
So we do every genre of book. Christian books, or inspirational books, I should say. We have published poetry. We've published children's books. We've published journals. We've published devotionals. We've published testimonies. We've published books in the about domestic violence, about, we published pretty much everything, right. The full spectrum. We haven't published like a manual before, but we've edited a manual before for a workplace manual. So we've done quite a few things in the past year since we officially started publishing. We publish under the Vision to Fruition Publishing House. That's under the Vision to Fruition Group. So that's what we publish under. So we published 32 books in the last year.
Wow.
And they have earned international bestseller status. So we're an award-winning publisher and a best-selling publisher as well. So we are very proud of that.
I think that's
Should
something to be proud
Yes.
of.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
That's definitely something to be proud of. So if somebody is looking to publish with the Vision to Fruition Group, what's the process of getting in touch with you other than going on the website? They just go on the website, see your website?
So you go on the website and you fill out the application. You fill out the appointment request form to request a consultation with one of our team members, and we will talk with you about what you want to publish and how you want to publish, what your timeline is, what your budget is. We'll kind of discuss those things to see where you are, and then we'll move forward from there. So if you decide you do want to publish, you'll get a nice email from us that has an agreement in it first, because you should always get everything in writing, and then you'll start the process. We'll send you information on where you should go and what you should do to submit all your information so that we can get started on publishing the book. So the first step is going to our website and scheduling a consultation. That's the very first step.
Don't be scared. Go forward.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you has anyone in the year that you've been publishing, has anyone come to you and said, "Oh, I've got an idea for a book. Oh, it's so exciting. It's going to be the bomb. It's going to be a bestseller." And you listen to them, and by the time they're done, you're cross-eyed and you're like, have you ever turned anybody down, I guess is the question.
Yes.
Okay.
We have turned down 3 people. One was because it just wasn't the genre that matched with the type of company that we are. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And then there are other manuscripts where truthfully and honestly the person wasn't ready, because you do need to be at a place where you have something to publish. So I would often say, go back and write a little more, add a little more, or try to craft it out a little more, because we can always tell when it's a rush job or when they just rush through it and it's just kind of like, oh, I want to work with you and get my book published. But we do try to publish to a certain standard. So, if they need a little bit of coaching first, then we'll take them through writing coaching and kind of help them craft out what they want in the book. But we have turned down 3 people in the past year. So, and that's fine. That's standard. We like to publish to a certain standard
absolutely.
and in a certain way. So.
Yeah. And I asked that question because I don't want people just to think, because we're sitting here and we're talking about this, that you can just run in, you've got 24 pages and you're ready to put a binder, around it and publish it. I think, writing a book is a serious matter.
It is.
And, through you all want them to have something that's encouraging and inspirational, I guess. Not just,
That's quality.
That's quality, exactly.
Quality.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because while everybody has a story, not everybody has a story that needs to be published yet. So it's a process. It's a process. Everybody has a story. Because there are some people who, like you mentioned, some people will come up and pitch their story, and it needs to be developed a little bit more. So, but everybody has a story. Everybody has a book in them. So there's no reason not to write the book already. What I was going to say is, what kind of people do you go looking for when it comes to publishing? What kind of people do you look for?
Well, we actually don't. We actually don't look for people. God has blessed us to not have to look. People come to us. People come to us all the time, and we actually don't do a lot of marketing. The majority of our clients are visionaries, as we like to call them. We don't have clients. We have visionaries. The majority of our visionaries are word of mouth and referral. And actually, in all the businesses that I've started, they are 95% referral based. So we actually don't go looking for our visionaries. They find us. They find us.
Okay. So tell your friends and tell your friends and tell your friends about it. I want to talk a little bit more about fulfilling your purpose and how this ties into writing the book already. So we talked last Sunday about procrastination, people putting off things, and there's something in everyone to go forward. We already talked about fears and things that hinder us. Another piece is the cost. A lot of people, talk about, well, I don't have the money to write and publish and do those things. Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Well, you do have to pay for things nowadays. So there's always going to be a cost involved. Because there's, like I said, when I was explaining the process, it's some small moving parts that just take time to develop and to craft out. So, but you shouldn't let cost deter you. Most publishers in this area, much like us, offer payment plans, and there are services that you can get. That most of us have a basic package that we offer that's available to everybody, and that's actually cost effective as well. And then there's other things that you can add on, add-ons and upgrades. Yes, everybody loves an upgrade, right? A la carte, yes. So you should never let the cost deter you, and you should always talk with us or with the publisher you want to publish with, and see how they can work with you. Not that you're trying to talk them down, because a man is worthy of his wage, but that you can see where you fit and see if you need to wait or if you need to plan and budget, and then we'll always can have that conversation and work on that piece. But there is a cost. So but don't be afraid of the cost, because you always have to weigh, is it something that God told you to do?
Right.
Is he telling you to do it now? And if you can answer yes to those two questions, then you shouldn't worry about the cost. You should just move forward, because God will always, if he gives you the vision, he will make provision. So that shouldn't be first. Consider it, yes, because a wise man counts the cost, yes. But if you can answer yes to those two questions, then God will provide the provision for you to bring your vision to fruition. Yes.
Say those questions again.
Did God tell you to do it? Did God tell you to do it? And did he tell you to do it now? Because sometimes God will tell us to do something, but the timing is not now.
Right.
But if he's telling you to do it now, so you're kind of looking at God like, you want me to write this book? And then you're kind of looking at your finances like, this ain't really working out. But with God, we know all things are possible. And like I said before, if he gave you the vision, he'll provide the provision.
I agree. We talked about the did God give this to you? I think that's key. Is this something that God gave you to write? And if it is, then you move forward. Because even talking about procrastination.
Yeah, I was going to say we were talking about that last.
We talked about, did God tell you to do this? You want to recap a little bit about the procrastination leading piece with fulfilling your purpose?
One of the things that we were talking about is, if God has given it to you to do, then that thing should become a priority in your life. That should be, and you're sure You've heard the voice of God. The other piece, I agree with you. You've got to find out if is it for now,
Right.
Because the book is there. You feel it in your spirit. You know you've got that. But maybe that story isn't over. Maybe there's some components that God still has for you to put into that. So, and that's with the book, and that's with any other project that you feel like you're encountering. So.
Yeah, I was going to say you need to keep track of the process.
I had a question to you.
No, go ahead.
Okay. When you were talking about the cost, it was two things. But when you were talking about the cost, I remember the day when people said, "Oh my gosh, I got my $5,000 advance for my next book or for my book." You know, under what circumstances does something like that happen? I mean, do you have to already be approving, or you've just got to have something so dynamic that somebody is willing to front you?
Well, I mean, there are many different circumstances under which that can happen. There are many different publishing houses out today. Right now, there are 5 major publishing houses. I can't recall every name, but if you look on a book published, Charisma House is one. They publish people like T.D. Jakes, Joyce Myers. So if you're one of the 5 major publishing houses, then that's probably under one of those circumstances where they will give you an advance for your book. If you're one of the smaller independent publishers like the Vision to Fruition Publishing House is, then we normally do case by case where we don't front yet. We will grow to that place where we'll be able to give an advance. But right now we are what's called an independent publisher. So you know how you have larger TV networks and then you have smaller TV networks. So it's kind of like that. We're not at a place where we can give you an advance. You just pay whatever set price it is, and then we'll finish the process for you. But that's where you get into those major publishing houses that are publishing some of the celebrity authors that you see now.
They don't need the advance. I mean, this is my little
perception,
my on the corner thinking here. I mean,
T.D.
T.D. Jakes, do you need to advance T.D.?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that kind of thing. To me, it
still has to pay bills first.
I know that, but I'm talking about if he's got a book.
But here's the thing: publishers don't mind giving you an advance if they know that they're going to make it back.
Right.
Because that's the only reason for an advance is that, okay, I'm going to advance you $10,000 because I know that you're going to have $50,000 worth in book sales. So it's easy to give an advance when you know for sure that they have a proven track record of selling that amount of books in a certain amount of time. Same with record companies. They give these advances because they know that it's likely that you're going to make this certain amount and they're going to make their money back. So that's the only situation where advances happen, because they're like, okay, we want to keep you and we want to lock you in to being our exclusive client. So you're only repping, just like with basketball teams, you can only wear, when you're on a football team, you can only wear that certain jersey. You can't wear, even if you like the Steelers and you play for the Redskins, you can't wear Steelers gear. So really it's marketing and publicity.
Okay.
Well, you can wear our gear.
Do you have stuff?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's coming.
We have a visionary shirt coming out soon. So all of our visionaries will be able to rep that visionary shirt. Yes.
Right. So
Do we have time for another question?
Yeah, we have time.
Okay. What's the difference between a publicist and a publisher? Is there a difference?
Yes, there's most definitely a difference. So a publisher publishes manuscripts and written work, I should say. A publicist handles the public's perception of you. So be it social media, be it a press conference or something like that, they are handling the public's perception of you. So that's the difference. It's two totally different fields. So that's more in the marketing field. So a publicist represents a company or a person to the public. They make sure that everything is branded and everything that they're putting out is congruent. But a publisher handles written works. Okay. So that's pretty much the difference.
So there's a cutoff for you. You ended publisher and publicist.
We tell you how to market your book and how to represent your book and kind of how to brand yourself as an author. But
so
everything.
The publicist is the person and not the product. Publicist.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
So we do have a PR team that will help you in how you represent yourself on social media, and how you brand your book and how to better use social media to promote your book.
That's great.
So because social media is free marketing essentially. So people should know how to use that effectively to market their book.
Yeah. So I think we have one more commercial break before we wind down, and we're going to go to that, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more with LaKesha L. Williams of the Vision to Fruition Group, and we're talking about Write the Book Already. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back after this break. We are back, AWIC TV Experience It, and we're here talking about Write the Book Already. We talked about procrastination last week, and we're from Reaching Beyond, and Lynette told us about what were some of the things you told us to do to find to process all the clutter we were going through. You said you gave us some advice.
I did.
Yeah, and you don't remember. You
I
forgot them.
exactly
It's okay. But it was going back and we're going back over the stuff that you had and prioritizing the things that you had.
Oh, that part of
That
it.
part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
So we talked about that, and so that ties in with writing your vision, because I bet so many of you out there have heard vision and purpose over and over again. We hear those words over and over and over again. So, but how exactly do we write a vision? I mean, write the vision, make it plain. How do we write? I've seen vision boards and I've seen all these different things, but how do you write a vision?
Well, I think that's such a broad question because writing a vision has become so commercialized.
Yeah.
Like with the vision board parties and vision casting parties and vision this and vision that. And I know that we're called the Vision to Fruition Group, but the thing about it is that when you really think about what your vision is, because I conceptualize it differently, it's two things that are happening. A lot of people have vision oversight. And so the way that I would explain vision oversight is if you go up in a helicopter and you can see everything. You can see the big picture, if you will. And then there's also vision insight. So that's the people who are paying attention to the details, like, oh, look at this white speck right here, and that needs to be moving, so they're paying attention to all the little details and stuff like that. So you have people who operate in oversight. They can see the finished house completed and it's all done, and then you have the insight where it's like people understand how the brick was laid, and if you turn it 90 degrees, then it's going to create a firm foundation type of situation. So a lot of times when people think about vision, commonly what I find is that people have oversight. They know exactly what the finished product is going to look like.
So they see the forest.
Right. But then they need help with kind of crafting out, like, oh, I know what my house wants to look like, what I want my house to look like, but I don't know how to build a house. So a lot of times people need help when they think about their vision. They need help with that, with the insight part of it, with the step-by-step details and stuff like that. So oftentimes, I want to write a book. I want to start a business. I want to start a ministry. Okay, let's do it. But then they're like, how? So a lot of people's visions look like that. They'll put millionaire on their vision board, or they'll write it down. But then it's like, okay, how do I get from the $100 I have in my account to the $1 million? How do I add these zeros? You know, so I think a lot of times when people are writing their vision, they really have to stop and think realistically. Everybody wants to be a millionaire, but not everybody wants to put in the work or the sleepless nights or make the sacrifices necessary to be there. You know, everybody wants to write a book, but they don't want to write. They don't want to sit down and write their story. You know, everybody wants to start a ministry, but everybody doesn't understand that salvation is free, but ministry costs. So, you know, that's where it comes into thinking realistically and not just being cliche and having this board up in your bedroom like, oh, that's nice, you know, but do you really want to do what it takes to get there? So when you think about writing your vision, you have to think realistically. You have to think about, is this in line with the things that I'm passionate about? Because if you want to be a doctor, but you don't like blood or people, or you're not passionate about helping people, then those two things may not go together. You want to be a vet. They go
together, but not well.
But not well.
They're not going to function.
Right. You know, you want to be a veterinarian, but you don't like animals. Yeah. So how does that? How you're not passionate about helping animals, or so you know? And then after you figure out what you're passionate about, then you can your passion will point you towards your purpose. Yes. So a lot of times people know the things that they're passionate about. You could be passionate about sewing, but not realize that you have a purpose in helping women to dress themselves and creating clothing and being a fashion designer. And you're like, oh, you know, it kind of dawned on you, have an epiphany. So you really have to start crafting those things out while you're writing your vision. You know, you put the end at the top, but then be realistic in the body of what you're writing.
Okay. And I want to talk about the difference between excitement about something and a passion for something. Right. You know, something can pump you up. You know, like I get excited when I hear music, a symphony. Oh my gosh, that just, I get lost in a symphony. But I can't write a symphony. You know, I can't create that. But I love it. So you have to also know the difference between the two. You know, your passion is something, again, I have to say it comes from the inside. You know, when I'm getting passionate about a symphony, it's because it's coming in and I'm absorbing it. You know, and it's taking me someplace. I feel that passion. But with your own passion, as I said, it just has to be something inside you that makes you want to do, that drives you. Yeah. You know.
So you were talking about, and for both of you, you were talking about the writing the vision. First of all, being realistic about it. You know what it is you want. Looking at the big picture and looking at and tapping into what you're passionate about versus what you just are excited about. So when it comes to putting pen to paper, or in your case, keyboard typing your vision. Yes. The first step is to write down what the big picture is. Like say, write the book. So write the book already is what we're talking about. So the first thing is I want to write the book. Second thing is what? You write down. You research. Do the research. You do the research. You find out, you call vision to fruition, and you find out what the steps are. You find out what the cost is. But I wanna speak to something that you said is the way that you determine the difference between excitement and passion. So you feel excited about something and you don't quite know if it's something that you're passionate about. The first thing that you should do is pray about it.
And God will let you know if it's
back to that first step.
That's right. And God will let you know if it's just something that you're excited about or something that you're passionate about. And then the second thing that you should do is seek wise counsel, or somebody who you are accountable to and can say, girl, I don't know. I don't really think you remember the last time you was excited. So it's
we talked about that last week too, about getting accountability.
That's right. Talk to wise counsel, accountability, somebody who could really talk to you, check you, be real with you, type of situation, and then it'll someone who can help you to think realistically, because oftentimes we get blinded by our excitement. So somebody who can bring you back down a little bit and say, okay, let's really talk about this and flesh this out. So write what you want to do, and then do your research, pray about it, seek wise counsel, and then after you've done all of those things, then you can look at it and say, okay, all right. But then the last two things you should do is, did God tell me to do this? And is the time now? Right. Is the time now? So those are kind of some of the steps that you can begin to do as you are writing out your vision and trying to decide if it's just excitement or if it's passion and purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you want to also encourage those who are excited.
I'm not trying to.
We just want to
steer you in the right direction. Know the right place to go.
Yes. Yeah. Because you're going to remain excited. If it's something that you're passionate about, the excitement won't fizzle. It'll remain. I'm still excited now to this day. Every time I write a book and I publish it, and I'm just like, ooh, look at it, So it's always. It's always there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and even the excitement in writing the book, sometimes the process may not be so exciting. You do have to make that time to actually write, and sometimes that can be challenging. You do have to make the time to to do the research, and that can be kind of frustrating. So those things, the process may not be exciting, but don't separate that from the purpose. You still want to get to the purpose and fulfill it and get that vision across, because that's one thing. The
process is a whole nother show.
The process is a whole nother thing.
Yes.
It takes individual trees to make up a forest.
There you go. And the growing takes time. And so we just want to encourage you all out there to no more procrastinating.
Yes.
Write the book already.
Do it already.
There are plenty of resources out there. Again, you can contact the Vision 2 Fruition Group. We can help you in that process, get started and move forward. You can also make sure that you're studying your word, because that's what's key when we're talking about praying about it. And did God tell you? Well, if you don't know the word, you don't know how he's going to respond to you. You don't know you don't have the relationship with him so that you can hear from him when you do pray. And so I remember, what you said earlier when you went to the library and you were in the room and you just said, God, I'm not going to leave until you tell me. Well, that the key part of that is you need to know how to study this word and know what he's going to say, so that relationship, and so that you can hear from him. So we at AWIC always encourage you to, as we're getting ready to close out, time is short. It's time for us to go. So we encourage you to discover your value and access your voice and move in your victory. But before we do all of that, I just want to thank LaKesha L. Williams for joining us, and thank you for letting people know about the Vision 2 Fruition Group, and for reminding people to write the book already. Don't get lost in it. Don't forget. Take your time. Write it out. Make it plain. Write the vision. Make it plain.
So those that read it will run with it.
So we're going to close out. It's time to end the show, and we thank you for joining us.
Thank you for being faithful.
Thank you for being faithful.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Yes. So let's say it all together, because you know it by heart, don't you?
I might know it. I might know it.
So we want to encourage all our viewers to discover your value, access your voice, and move in victory on AWIC TV. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Are you looking to expand your business? Increase your brand awareness with over 1.2 million viewers. Get your book on the bestsellers list. Broaden your reach with 175 million reached on Fire Stick and Roku. Do you need more exposure for your event? To get more to register? Then advertise on AWIC TV. Don't know where to start? We also offer video ad development services. You can find more information at anointedwomeninchrist.com. It could be the best business decision you ever make. Thank you for tuning in to AWIC TV Experience It, with real women discussing real issues and giving real answers. Join us again next Sunday at 8:30 p.m. and follow us on all of our social media platforms. And remember to discover your value, access your voice, and move in your victory.